السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا Muhammad النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome all of you back with the program Fatwa Life that comes to you on from Mishkah on the 27th of Rajab. The first question, this is the first part, and the first question: I work in marketing, and we market perfume through intermissions in the West, where you show some of the women's face or her hair. That is normal thing in that society. Can we Islamically allow a woman in the merchandise if she is not putting too much makeup, because she shows her face and some parts of her hair? The intention is the marketing, and if we don't do that, it will affect the sale big time. And is it different in the Western countries, societies? Is the rule different? Still, we should not allow the woman into the marketing, to use the woman in a sex market in the marketing, because the commercials is to entice the emotions, and to use that in a sexual manner that is not for the woman by herself. It's what's going to affect in the sight on the men, and that's what's going to make it more than just if showed up in a normal way. And you should not use that, because the commercial is something that's going to affect, and the marketing here is not one of the emergencies or the necessities to allow it. In the hadith of Abu Umama, that the Holy Spirit put in my soul that a soul will not die until it fulfills its age and complete its sustenance. So fear Allah and be kind in asking, and don't let any of you slow in the sustenance by asking it by disobedience of Allah, because Allah the Almighty will not get what He got except with His obedience. And don't use the excuse of the Western rules as a way to justify what Allah has forbidden. What is forbidden is what Allah and His Messenger has forbid, and the permissible things is what Allah and His Messenger permit, not what the human being east or west allows or permit. It's not only to protect the Muslims, it's also to stop the affliction from any woman exposed to in the marketing. And sustenance is by Allah Azza wa Jal, not by the forbidden ways. The fourth question: wife has committed adultery, and the husband don't want to live with her, but she's asking for the dowry completely, which is $30,000. What is the rules in that matter? The answer: once you have the intercourse with the woman, that deserve all the dowry, and it's not going to be voided just because she committed adultery, even became to the li'an, or to admit that she committed adultery, because the one who made the li'an, when he asked the Prophet ﷺ about his money, his dowry, he said, alayhi salatu salam answered, there's no money for you. If you have, if you gave her the dowry, it's because what you have spent with her. If you have lied on her, that's far away from you. So you have no money for you. It is authenticated in the both books of Bukhari and Muslim. And now we reply on that. It's an evidence that the dowry is affirmed for the woman, and it is agreed on, even if the woman, if she agreed that she admit adultery, she still keep her dowry. And Ibn Hajar said you could learn that the mula'ana that happens, if she denied herself after that and admitted, she deserved the punishment of Allah, but not the return of the dowry. But for the man, he can make it hard on her to give back her dowry and to pay for herself, because Allah said, don't make it hard on them to take some of what you give them unless they came with adultery. That is very clear. Hadr ibn Kathir in his explanation says, except with adultery that is clear, Ibn Mas'ud said, and Ibn Abbas, and Sa'id al-Musayyib, الشعبي, Hassan al-Basri, and Ibn Sirin, and Sa'id bin Khubayr, and Mujahid, Akram, and others. Meaning, if she has committed adultery, then you make it hard for her until you take it back. Ibn Abbas and Akram al-Dahak said, the disobedience and but it is adultery as well, and the bad character. Shaykh al-Islam says the dowry does not go back just because of adultery, just like the saying of the Prophet ﷺ. When he said, my money, he said, you have no money. Because if she commit adultery, she might commit forgiveness as forgiveness. That will allow you to keep her. The adultery could make it hard for her to living, so until she decides to pay it back and leave. The final question. Is touching the husband touching his wife, does it void the wudu? No. This is a dispute between the scholar, but I think it's not going to void it. Because what Allah talked about in the ayah, He's talking about the intercourse, not the touching, because the Prophet ﷺ used to kiss his wife and go to the prayers. But if he intended some scholars, they said, if he intended the desire, then it will void the wudu. The final question I heard for the scholars, that you have to learn Arabic. Is it required on every Muslim, do we get sin as fathers in the West if our kids don't speak Arabic and being Muslims? It is from the virtues of Islam to learn Arabic. But what is required from the Arabic as obligatory must, what you cannot do the prayers without it, or the worship except with it. Like you need to learn Al Quran and to understand what he's saying, to pray, and the prayers in the Arabic. So he need to read the Quran. And maybe for the new Muslims, as transition period, to learn Arabic. What they have missed comes in his language. But that's a transmission and transition area until he learn. Anything beyond that is from the obligatory that is sufficient. To learn Arabic or to learn it from the virtues of Islam. Is committed the Christmas decoration on the houses in the West and scholars, and to enjoy it. Is that acceptance of disbelief or belief in the disbelief? Well, my first impression, I hope that you are not touched with those from the shaitan. There's difference between to like something and natural like, and if someone see a beautiful decoration, that's a natural things in the human. This is not what it meant in the hadith about what is forbidden and allowed, unbelief and disbelief. But if that liken as a tool to say, why not, what's wrong with celebrating Christmas? And then you go from the natural liking of the lights and the decoration for Christmas to like what innovation and wrongdoing, wrong worship of Allah Azza wa Jal. That's a different case. To accept the sin, it is a sin. To accept the disbelief is disbelief. There's a difference between sinning and disbelief. Sinning is from the atoms of this ignorance. You don't become a disbeliever except to commit shirk, because Allah said, Allah will not forgive that He will be put partners with, but He will forgive anything beyond that, if He wish. The natural person with the faith, it will be good. You will hate the action what Allah hates. The human being, he will see some things that are wrong. Maybe he will tilt to it in a way, but he hates it as faithfully. But then you will find that if he is really high in his belief, then his desire will be following what came with the Prophet ﷺ, of what Allah likes, not what Allah dislikes. And Allah dislike being put in partners with. When was the companions circumcised their kids? It happens. Is it immediate after birth, after years, after they get adulthood? It's usually after a week or so. If you delete, it is still required, and for his parents to do it. But anyway, to do it in the early days, make it a lot easier on the child and his parents. And and I know some fathers, they wait till 10 years or 12 years, and they do it in the house with the barber. That causes a lot of pain and infection, and he stays in his days because of that delay. So the earlier the better. The circulation from the natural ways, and you do it as soon as possible in the first days of the child, and it's recommended the first week. What is the rule about the interest for those who have those currencies? Is it more than the banks in the West, 4%? My son, everything you put in the bank, whether it is Bitcoin or normal currency, these are loans, not uh, to, because to deposit is to put it so you can bring it back, and the loan to give them the money so you could give replacement. What happens in the banks is loans, because the bank don't take your money and put it in a closed deposit and then give it back to you the same way you give it to him. No, he takes it, and he put it into his own riba tools, and he give you a replacement when you want it back with the interest that is accepted. And that is definitely riba. There's no difference between this currency or that, whether it is Bitcoin or normal currency. So if you so we come to the conclusion of the first part. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.